Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and game 1 in a set between Lucifer and Focus. Lucifer spawning on the top right hand side of the map as the gray undead player. Meanwhile on the bottom left we have Focus playing under the name Spearmint KR. Not quite sure what that means. If I ever meet Focus I will ask him, but then again I don't think I'll ever meet Focus. Let's take a look at what's going to be going on in this Undead versus Orc matchup. A matchup that I don't really think I've cast all too much. So I am going to be looking forward to this particular matchup and trying to figure out what things will be unfolding here. Now, addressing a couple of questions that were on my Facebook page. If you guys are not registered to my Facebook page, just look for it, Crota on Facebook. You should definitely find it. Also, look me up on Twitter, Crota_US West. Yes, I have been casting so long, I actually have what server I'm playing on, or was playing on, back in the day for WarCraft 3. We are looking at an Acolyte now making its way down over here. It is going to be doing a little bit of scouting, perhaps taking out a sheep in the process in order to get skeletal minions. It will most likely be opening up with a Death Knight Rod of Necromancy. Yeah, I'm going to head back over here, pick up that Rod of Necromancy, and really for undead players, you really need this Tomb of Relics. The tomb allows you to buy Dust of Appearance back at home. The Acolytes are very much exposed to Blade Master and Blade Master harassment. Hence, the Dust of Appearance, one Nerubian Tower plus the Dust of Appearance shuts down that very, very effective harassment that undead players were able to do in Reign of Chaos. Meanwhile, we are now looking at the Orc player, Focus, opening up with the Blade Master, and based upon the location here, he is not going to be able to sell his Scroll of Town Portal for healing salves. He may try to sell it for perhaps a Circlet of Nobility, or he's just going to try and purchase it after clearing out this creep camp. Meanwhile, the Death Knight is already on its way down, and you can see that the peasant here, or peon here, making sure to see if there is any sort of creeping going on. By having this peon patrolling back and forth, he knows that the Death Knight is on its way out across the map, and he pretty much knows that there is a very small window of opportunity where you could have taken out that level 5 creep without getting that death coil action coming in from that Death Knight. The Death Knight now going to come in here, knows that there is a skeleton, picks up two skeletal minions, and now going to engage against the Death Knight here, except for the Death Knight has one death coil on top of that Blade Master. That Blade Master is actually going to be in a little bit of trouble here as the Blade Master quickly purchases some items. Are we going to see another death coil? We may see that just to try to blow through another charge. The Death Knight unable to catch up to that Blade Master, and I would have thought a death coil would have come in to at least force another healing salve charge there. Not quite sure what that's about, and there is the Windwalk as he now walks away. Excuse me, sneezing right there. I know I used to have a cough button, but because of some connectivity issues, I was forced to disconnect it. There was some static being picked up during the recordings, so you guys get to hear me in all of my glory as opposed to just a little bit of unexpected silence. Now the Death Knight did expect that the Blade Master was trying to do a little bit of creeping, and he actually went over to this particular shop here knowing the creep patterns, but the Blade Master being very smart, or Focus being very smart, actually double backed on his opponent so that the Death Knight didn't know exactly where he was. He did now purchase up Boots of Speed, still has another healing salve free, ready to go, so he can continue to do a little bit more creeping as the Grunts are now perhaps going after some skeletal minions and skeletal warriors. Crypt Fiends are now finally out, so Lucifer's strategy is going to be to start creeping. Death Knight normally cannot creep by his lonesome self. You can see that the Blade Master now getting in some free shots onto this Death Knight, and that Death Knight taking a bit of damage. Are we going to see level 2? No. The Blade Master, unfortunately, unable to finish off that unit there, but finally gets up to level 2. So Critical Strike going to be an actual problem now as the Rogue gets death coiled and taken down. Death Knight finally on the board with some sort of experience, but he cannot really stick around in this fight for far too long. Crypt Fiend, however, now that he's fighting on Blight, does regenerate hit points rather quickly. Also, add in Unholy Aura eventually, and that Crypt Fiend can really just regenerate very, very fast while being on the defensive, or if there is an Essence or a sacrificial skull being used. There you have the Kobold Taskmaster now getting surrounded. Meanwhile, the Death Knight pretty much oblivious to what's happening here. Is he going to get the kill? I do believe the Death Knight finally did get some experience there, or more experience there, as you now see the Crypt Fiends taking a little bit of damage once more. So far, Lucifer has not been able to play his game, but Lucifer's game at this point is really relying on that Lich. The Death Knight is just going to be defensive, while that Blade Master is much, much faster. He can single-handedly harass the Death Knight, while the Blade Master himself is going to... oh, there's a little bit of damage there. It looks as though the Blade Master did not get the experience. Death Knight now very close to level 2, as we're going to see another level 2 there. We are going to pick up Unholy Aura. There you have it, as the Grunt now makes its way over. The Crypt Fiend no longer has that lightning shield. Are we going to see a death coil there? No, not at all. The Death Knight a little bit late. There's a death coil onto the Grunt, and the Grunt does get taken down. So trading a Grunt for a Crypt Fiend there, a little bit of a decent trade, and once the Lich is out with Frost Armor, that Blade Master is not going to be able to easily harass. However, he has already gotten up to level 3, setting up a Bestiary and a Spirit Lodge, so it is going to turn into that classic Raider Spirit Walker matchup. Now, you have to be careful with Spirit Walkers against Undead because of Destroyers. Destroyers are gonna be able to just tear apart the armies very, very quickly, devouring the magic of that Spirit Link, and then on top of that, after devouring the magic, being able to attack back with splash damage, making sure that Grunts fall extremely, extremely quickly. Coming back over here, the Death Knight now trying to creep out the Goblin Merchant Shop at the 3 o'clock position, should have no problem. Blade Master surprisingly not doing all too much here. You can see that this Blade Master just constantly attacking this crypt, which isn't really taking much damage. There is that Slaughterhouse, as I mentioned earlier, and this is just keeping track of his the opponent's base. Death Knight sitting at level 2, Lich sitting at level 1. We're not going to see any leveling up here at all, as the last Forest Troll does get taken down. Blade Master sitting at 3. He's going to harass, as now the Shadow Hunter going to enter the game and look to get some more experience as well. The Shadow Hunter should be staying at level 1, just shy of level 2 here, as the Blade Master still needs to make sure that his opponent is unable to get all the experience that he wants. Dust of Appearance was not used. The Lich does not have enough there. As you can see, the Lich just shy of level 2, which is important, as that Lich only has the defensive spell Frost Armor at this point, as opposed to Frost Nova. Once you get to Frost Nova, things get much, much more difficult. You can slow from a range, and also once you get to level 4, you can get Dark Ritual to try and maintain your mana levels as well. You can see that the Death Knight still sitting at level 3, or just getting to level 3, the Lich now getting to level 2, as both sides are still clearing out, and this is just turning into a massive epic hero level race, as we are going to be getting to level 2 on the Shadow Hunter. Blade Master coming in for an engagement. No, Frost Armor is on that Death Knight. We can see also Scourge Bone Chimes, 10% Vampiric Lifesteal, so that Death Knight will be healing about 3 damage per hit. Maybe, pretty much 3 damage per hit, as he's not going to be able to do much of anything else. He is rather low on hit points though, and doesn't have many more options to try and creep. He is sitting at 300 hit points, so he has to be extremely careful, as that Blade Master coming in with a couple of easy critical strikes can take down an unsuspecting Death Knight in a matter of seconds. Also, that Purge Shield, or that Purge Ball Orb of Lightning, can in fact remove that Frost Armor, and by removing that Frost Armor, the armor value goes, I believe, from, well, I believe it's the Frost Armor is +3 armor, so that is actually a pretty significant increase in armor, as we're now looking at the Blade Master trying to do a little bit of pressure. More importantly though, the Lich and the Crypt Fiends making sure to kind of trap this Rock Golem in a rather strange location. However, the Rock Golem may be in trouble himself. He's not going to be going up against the Lich, and the Blade Master, I believe, steals the does he steal the item? No, he does not steal the item, nor does he steal the experience, I believe. No, the Lich looks like he got some experience in that fight, and now the Blade Master is going to be backing off. You can see skeletal minions now quickly getting taken down. And what is happening next? Blade Master sitting at 3. Meanwhile, Shadow Hunter also sitting at 3, going up against a level 2 Lich and a level 3 Death Knight. Blade Master Lich obviously better in numbers in terms of everything else. But this is also going to be problematic, as the healing wave, that additional heal or that extra heal from that Shadowhunter, is going to keep that Blade Master alive. Very good synergy when you consider Blade Master Shadowhunter. Death Knight and Lich now making their way. Perhaps they're going to try to go for a red creep camp. That would be rather gutsy of them at this point. You normally try to go for red creep camps when your heroes are at level 4 and you have higher tech. We are going into Destroyer form, so Destroyer form definitely means we should see perhaps anywhere from 2 to 3 destroyers. So destroyers should be able to eat any sort of spirit link, as now the Blade Master going after that obsidian statue. That obsidian statue taking a lot of damage, and the obsidian statue will get taken out here if it is surrounded in time. No, not quite. Scroll of Town portal used in order to save an obsidian statue. Very, very good call there, as the obsidian statue can turn into a destroyer and also is worth a rather large amount. And yes, you can see also that there are acolytes repairing that obsidian statue right now, trying to get it back up to full. So acolytes repairing the obsidian statue. We are going to have another push out here. Both sides just playing rather cautious, not wanting to make any critical mistakes, but it feels like Focus is just slightly ahead overall. With that additional here experience, you can see level 4, level 3 now, as opposed to level 3, level 2, and with a 2 level advantage total, that could translate into some very big plays later on. The extra walking speed on that Blade Master with Windwalk level 2, or the extra additional percentage of crit eventually adds a lot here, as we're looking at Lucifer also setting up a Dark Ranger. Dark Ranger extremely strong, being able to silence that Shadowhunter, and once that Shadowhunter is silenced, he is taken out of the equation just a little bit. No healing wave, no hex, opening up for a lot of damage, or perhaps even focus fire on a Blade Master if he is revealed. Blade Master still running around here. We are going to be seeing a bit of an engagement. There's the hex onto the Death Knight. Also the Shadowhunter taking a bit of damage there. There's one destroyer in the air. Blade Master walks his way through, and is he going to perhaps make it at all? There is the final Windwalk. Dust of Appearance was not used, as the Windwalk strike does come down. Blade Master has to be extremely careful. You can see the Voodoo Lounge sitting at 59/60. I do not see any peons coming in to join on the fight, as we are still fighting their way around. Death Knight does have a potion of invulnerability. Down goes a Kodo Beast, as skeletal minions are falling as well. Destroyers trying to do as much damage to all of these raiders, which are getting a lot of ensnares. Lich gets death coiled in order to stay alive just a little bit longer, and we see now a level 3 Lich. This is looking very well for Lucifer, but the Death Knight is now starting to get low on hit points. Are we going to perhaps see Dust of Appearance used, and is the Blade Master going to chase perhaps a little bit too far? Alright, there is the Windwalk strike. There's a potion of a potion of invulnerability, and now the Blade Master gets healed back up, but the Blade Master now uses its potion as silence does go down. Death Knight has to be extremely careful, now backing off again. Dark Ranger still sitting at level 1, has a potion of invulnerability as well, lesser potion, as we are looking at Raiders getting taken out. Alright, the Grunts taking a lot of damage. Lich now taking a little bit of focus fire as well, and this is just not good for Focus. Focus is losing a lot of hit point, or a lot of units, while Lucifer has been able to keep his units alive, finally losing a single crit fiend there, but the Death Knight needs to get saved. Is it going to get saved in time? Down to 92 hit points and trying to run away. That Death Knight down to 110 hit points and still increasing. The Blade Master now perhaps trying to get in front, now backs around the other side. There is the Hex, and there goes the Death Knight at level 3. Level 3 Death Knight gets taken out, and all of that work by Lucifer to try to get ahead, all for naught now, as the Death Knight now falls. Level 4 Shadowhunter, level 4 Blade Master, and things have evened up with the fall of one hero. 41/60 supply. Meanwhile, we are looking at the Undead, who is currently seen at 46/60, quickly resurrecting his Death Knight at that tavern. Alright, Dark Ranger still sitting at level 2. Now wandering all the way back home. Perhaps going to recharge just a little bit. Still plenty of gold for now inside the main gold mines. Enough for another 5 or 6 minutes, I believe. So around the 21-minute mark, we may start to run out of gold. Or we will start to run out of gold on these gold mines. And that's when you have to be very, very concerned. You have to take another base. And on a map such as this, it is rather hard to take up another base, as there's only 2 expansion locations. And if you take one, your opponent will most likely take the other, evening things out again. Granite Golem going after the Blade Master. A lot of Thunderclap coming in, just pounding onto the ground here, causing AoE. You can also see what item was left behind. I don't quite know. It was what, Hood of Cunning, additional agility, additional intelligence. Very, very strong for that Shadow Hunter, as that Hunter has 28 in each stat. Coming back around, it looks as though Lucifer, trying to go after the Rock Golems here, may in fact be able to do exactly that. Granite Golem's absorbing a bit of damage. Blade Master is right there, and is he going to get the steal? Yes, he does. Blade Master gets the steal again. And now just playing off to the side here, as the Blade Master with that Orb of Lightning still doing a lot of damage. Orb of Lightning giving range attack to that Blade Master, allowing the Blade Master to attack those destroyers. That perhaps is one of the better benefits, and one of the reasons why you must have it if you focus on a Blade Master and still want to take down those destroyers. Blade Master is still doing a little bit of walk around here. It has plus 20 attack right now. He is raring, ready to go. 55 damage plus triple on the minimum critical strike, and that could turn into a huge amount of damage there. 192 hit point critical strike. Going after more units. It looks as though the Blade Master gonna have a field day with this Death Knight. It looks as though, yes, that unit is now taken down, and both sides suffering heavy casualties, as well as Destroyer goes down as well. So, let's take a look at this. Lich and Blade Master, both sides continuing the fight. The Blade Master going after some lower hit point Crypt Fiends, but with so much focused damage, I do believe that focus is just going to start to fall behind here. There goes a Crypt Fiend, though. There's a couple of Grunts and a couple of Raiders. Who's going to come out ahead? And the sheer amount of healing coming in from that Death Knight is really making the difference, considering he also has a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. There's another long battle there. There goes another Crypt Fiend. It looks as though, yes, the Spirit Walker has backed away. The Destroyer is right there. There's more Spirit Link coming in. There goes the Destroyer. Shadow Hunter now in a little bit of trouble. Is the Death Knight going to be able to get there in time? It looks like it just might. It does not have Boots of Speed, but it... Oh, Hex! A quick Hex there, as there is the purchase of the Scroll of Town Portal. Shadow Hunter will be heading back home without having to pay for the resurrection. Even though resurrection right now wouldn't be all too bad, he does need that extra bit of mana, but he just doesn't want to spend for it. Blade Master is now wandering back over here. You can see a watchtower has been constructed at the 6 o'clock expansion location, and this is going to force Lucifer to retreat and look for an expansion location of his own. The only other location obviously at the 12 o'clock side, as the skeletal minions quickly get dissipated due to the timer. Crypt Fiends now wandering off to the north here, and the Blade Master needs to figure out where his opponent's opening is. He doesn't really know what's going on at the 12 o'clock location. He knows himself that he's trying to set up a base down over here, but that's going to take quite some time, especially since he has not started that stronghold yet, and you even have some additional golds doing long distance mining to try and get back into this game. So far, Crypt Fiends Lich, all of them hiding on the Blight, getting healed back up. Skeletal minions getting focused down, and it really feels like Focus is just playing with a lot of focus, doing exactly what he needs to do, and is now currently containing his opponent inside one base. Containing your opponent much more important than in StarCraft 2, as you're able to advance your army without attacking your opponent's army. You can still try and creep, and as long as you're creeping or actively doing something, and your opponent is inside their base, you will come out ahead. Death Knight now chases down over here. You can see that the Lich is in position. No dust of appearance that I see. More ghouls being brought over as well. And is the Lich perhaps going to do anything here? Blade Master comes in with a little bit of damage. And the Obsidian Statue easily down to 400 some odd hit points. Now back up to 820 after a Death Coil from the Death Knight. Here comes a strong push. You can see there are watchtowers down in position. There is a couple, or there's an ensnare or two. You can see the ensnare doing a lot of damage to the destroyer, trying to heal up both sides. The raider is now going to get taken down as well. Death Knight needs to absorb a little bit of damage, and the Blade Master now joins in on the fight. Blade Master going after the Lich. Frost armor onto the other units. Let's see what's going to be happening here. Both sides fighting. The Blade Master going after another Crypt Fiend there. It does take it down based upon that attack. 240 hit point critical strike. Both sides still fighting. And as the Blade Master now digs its claws into the Crypt Fiend, things are looking extremely bad. Lucifer, who was ahead throughout this game, now may end up being a little bit behind. Are we going to perhaps see an ends justify the means? No, that's not a bag or a Bat Rider. That is just a simple Berserker. And we are now looking at both sides just fighting themselves into a corner. But Lucifer looking very strong here, as long as he can deal with this Blade Master. Deal with the Blade Master, and then the rest of the army is going to be much, much easier to take out after that army is destroyed. All right, you can see Blade Storm could be coming in. No, the Blade Master now going after the Lich. It looks as though the Lich is going to get healed back up. Eventually, you can see that the army is now making its way over. Another Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. Now onto the Shadow Hunter still. And it looks as though what's going to be happening next... Blade or Dark Ranger at level 3 has fallen. Now we can see, oh, a beautiful Blade Storm coming in. And there is the GG. Wow, that was rather unexpected. And Focus takes this game easily after taking down his opponent's hero. Level 6 versus a 4-4-3. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.